She let Rue hold the smouldering herb bundle and then dipped her thumb into a small bowl of water at the roots of Grandmother Oak. Straightening, she drew with her wet thumb the sign of the wheel on the old tree's trunk. "From sky to root," she said. "From age to age." Rue watched, swallowing, the herbs fragrant and smoking between her fingers. Morgan took the herbs gently from her and loosened the hawk feather from her belt. She wafted the smoke with it, up over the bark of the big old tree, then, closing her eyes, over herself. Eyes open again, she turned with a smile to Rue and fanned some of the smoke over her also. "The blessing of air, earth, fire and water over you, Grandmother," she said, looking back to the tree and lowering her head in a small bow of acknowledgement. "And your blessings upon us." She let the smoke drift for a moment longer, then pinched the fire out of the small herb bundle, holding her fingers over it until it no longer burned and was safe to replace in her small bag. She tied the feather back in place and lifted her head at last to smile upon Selena's girl. "Now," she said, "let's do what we came here for, shall we?" Rue nodded dumbly, having no idea what they'd come here for, but willing already to go wherever Morgan wanted her to, and do whatever she wished. She'd been so casual, Rue thought, the way she'd just done what? Blessed the tree? And themselves? As though to do so was entirely normal. "Are you all right?" Morgan asked her. Rue nodded again, licked her lips. I guess I just suddenly realized that this is where Selena comes from." She took a breath. "Really comes from, you know." She thought of Windswitch, the shrine to the spirit of the house, the rocks they'd placed at the corners of the property, the offerings at the altar near the goldfish pond, all of it. It was all wonderful. Just as wonderful as this. Rue gazed around, seeing the bluebells and the ancient woods, the stone circle. But this was where it had all come from. Rue shivered a little at that thought and swallowed, her throat clicking dryly. "Sorry," she said. I don't know, overwhelmed to be here, I guess." Morgan laid a hand on her shoulder for a brief moment and smiled. "Come, let us do this last thing then, and you can go back to the house, get some breakfast. I'm sure Selena will be up by now." Rue nodded, dazed. She looked into Morgan's clear gaze. "What are we going to do?" she croaked. "You are going to pick a stalk of bluebells," Morgan answered. "Okay." Rue turned to the flowers. "They will be an offering," Morgan said. "Whisper your thanks as you take them." Rue glanced back at Morgan, then nodded and walked over to the flowers, crouching down and selecting one. "May I?" she asked, her throat still dry. "To be an offering?" she whispered, not yet knowing what the offering was for or who it was going to be given to. "Thank you for letting me." She paused for a moment, her hand on the flower stalk, as though giving it a moment to disagree, to tell her no, but there was no objection. None that she could tell. She snapped the stalk and rose, the vibrant blue flowers hanging for all the world like bells from the stalk. Rue looked up and smiled at Morgan. "I've never seen these before," she said. "I feel like they'd really ring like bells if I shook them." Morgan laughed. "Perhaps they would, and someone in another world would hear them." Rue, delighted with the notion, shook the flowers in her hand and imagined them ringing out in another world. For all she knew, they really did.